All right, everyone, get ready because today we're going deep on magnesium.
Ooh, magnesium.
Yeah, you know that mineral that seems to be like everywhere these days.
Right.
Well, we found this super interesting YouTube video with Dr. Carlos Jaramillo.
Ooh.
He's a doctor in Colombia, and he really breaks down why magnesium is so important for our health.
I've heard a little bit about him.
Yeah, and he jumps right in saying that over half the people in like the Western world are deficient in magnesium.
Seriously, over half.
That's what he says.
Wow. You think that would be bigger news?
I know, right? But get this, he says that our regular blood tests
Uh-huh.
aren't actually reliable when it comes to magnesium.
What? So they can be wrong?
Well, it's not that they're wrong, but apparently most of our magnesium isn't just like floating around in our blood.
Oh.
It's mostly stored in our bones and muscles.
Huh. So a blood test could show normal levels even if you're actually low.
Yeah, basically.
That's kind of scary. How would we even know?
Right, this like this hidden deficiency.
Yeah.
So if we can't rely on those blood tests, how are we supposed to know if we're part of that 50% he's talking about?
Good question.
Well, Dr. Jaramillo says we need to pay attention to how we feel.
Okay.
He lists a bunch of symptoms that can point to a magnesium deficiency.
Like what?
It's not just muscle cramps and fatigue like I used to think.
Oh, right. I always associate magnesium with like leg cramps.
Me too.
Yeah.
But he also mentions more serious stuff like heart problems and even weak bones.
Wow. Okay. So it's way more than just muscle cramps.
Exactly. And that makes me wonder what's causing us to lose so much magnesium in the first place.
Yeah. Is it our diet?
Well, he says diet is part of it, but he actually calls out a whole bunch of magnesium thieves.
Magnesium thieves. I like that.
Right. It makes it sound more exciting.
Definitely. So who are these culprits?
He talks about the usual suspects like too much sugar, coffee, alcohol.
Right. Those make sense.
But it goes beyond that. Pregnancy can also drain your magnesium, as can some medications like diuretics,
Oh, wow.
and even exposure to heavy metals and pesticides.
Wait, pesticides too?
Apparently.
Geez, it's like magnesium is under attack from all sides.
That's what it feels like. And then he throws another one in there, stress.
Oh, yeah. Stress is bad for pretty much everything.
Right. Well, Dr. Jaramillo says chronic stress is a major magnesium thief. And it creates this like vicious cycle. Stress depletes your magnesium,
Yeah.
and then low magnesium makes you more vulnerable to stress.
So you just get more and more stressed and lose more magnesium.
Exactly.
No wonder everyone's so burnt out these days.
I know. So with all these things depleting your magnesium, what can we do to replenish it?
Yeah. How do we fight back?
Well, that's where Dr. Jaramillo brings in some good news.
Okay, good.
He's a big fan of magnesium supplements and says they're generally very safe.
Oh, that's good to know.
But I've seen some people taking these like really high doses of magnesium.
Yeah.
Is there a point where it becomes too much?
Is that dangerous?
That's what I was wondering, but Dr. Jaramillo addresses that too.
Okay.
He says our bodies are actually pretty smart about magnesium. Any excess we don't need just gets eliminated.
Oh, so your body just gets rid of it.
Yeah, usually through, well, let's just say you might end up spending a little extra time in the bathroom.
I see.
But here's where I get confused.
Yeah.
There are so many different kinds of magnesium supplements,
So many.
like magnesium citrate glycinate malate.
Right.
How are we supposed to know which one to choose?
Yeah. Do they all do the same thing?
That's a great question. And Dr. Jaramillo spends some time explaining this.
Okay.
He says each type of magnesium is bound to a different partner,
Partner.
like a salt or amino acid.
Okay.
And that affects how it gets absorbed and used by your body.
Huh. Interesting.
So they each have their own special talents, so to speak.
So it's not one size fits all?
Nope. And this is where it starts to feel overwhelming for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. So, for instance, he recommends magnesium malate if you're looking for help with hydration and recovering after exercise.
Oh, okay.
And then magnesium treonate is his go-to for supporting the nervous system.
Got it. So this brings up another question.
Oh.
What about those combination magnesium supplements?
The ones that have, like, every kind all mixed together.
Exactly. They sound good in theory, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
But actually, Dr. Jaramillo advises against those combination supplements.
Really? Why?
He says that different types of magnesium might clash with each other
Oh.
and make them less effective.
Huh. So it's better to stick with one type.
That's what he suggests. He recommends supplementing consistently for 3 to 6 months
Okay.
to give your body a chance to rebuild those magnesium stores.
Makes sense.
He compares to like recharging a battery.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right. You can't expect to fully recharge your phone in just a few minutes.
Nope.
So once those magnesium stores are back up, do we need to keep taking supplements forever?
Good question. I've always wondered that.
Well, Dr. Jaramillo is all about a holistic approach.
Right.
He emphasizes getting magnesium from your diet, too.
That makes sense.
So eating magnesium-rich foods. He even suggests that after that initial recharge phase with supplements, you might be able to just supplement a couple of times a week
Oh, okay.
and use food to cover the rest of your needs.
So it's all about balance.
Exactly, finding that balance between supplements and diet.
I like that.
So now I'm curious, what kind of foods are we talking about here?
Yeah, what should we be eating?
Well, he mentions things like cacao nuts and especially lots of vegetables.
Yeah.
Now, that's a sustainable strategy I can get behind.
Totally.
But before we move on, I'm curious about something Dr. Jaramillo mentioned towards the end of the video.
Okay, what's that?
He talked about how he personally doesn't need to supplement every day anymore.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Well, he focuses on getting magnesium from his diet
Okay.
and just supplements a couple times a week for maintenance.
So maybe that's something to work towards.
Yeah, and it actually brings up a really interesting point, this idea of bio-individuality.
Bio-individuality. That sounds complicated.
It's not really. It just means that we're all unique.
Oh.
And what works for one person might not be the best approach for another.
Right. Like some people are allergic to peanuts and some people aren't.
Exactly. We all have our own specific needs, and we respond differently to things like diet and lifestyle changes.
So just because Dr. Jaramillo found that maintaining his magnesium levels through diet and occasional supplementation worked for him, that doesn't mean it's the best strategy for everyone.
Exactly. We have to listen to our own bodies and pay attention to how we feel.
Right?
And that makes me think about how helpful it could be to work with a knowledgeable healthcare professional.
Definitely.
They could help us figure out our individual needs,
Yeah.
track our progress, and fine-tune our magnesium game plan.
Like having a personal magnesium coach.
I love that, a personalized magnesium roadmap.
That's a great way to put it.
Now that brings me to something else we talked about earlier. Remember how Dr. Jaramillo explained that different types of magnesium have those specific benefits?
Oh, yeah, like magnesium malate for hydration.
Yep, and treonate for the nervous system.
And glycinate for general benefits and neuronal support.
Right, and citrate for digestion.
So many options.
And remember how he specifically warned against using those combination magnesium supplements?
Because the different types might interfere with each other?
Exactly. He's all about choosing the right type for your needs and letting each form do its job without interference.
Makes sense.
But this is where my brain starts to get a little fuzzy.
Oh, no.
If we're trying to be really smart about our magnesium intake,
Yeah.
shouldn't we be thinking about the specific ways our bodies use it?
You're really thinking critically about this.
Well, if different types of magnesium have different affinities for certain tissues or processes in the body,
Okay.
wouldn't it make sense to tailor our supplementation accordingly?
You're onto something here.
So, for example, if someone is dealing with muscle cramps, maybe focusing on magnesium types that are easily absorbed by muscle tissue would be more beneficial.
Yeah, instead of just taking any random magnesium supplement.
Exactly.
That's a really interesting point.
It highlights the need for a more nuanced understanding of magnesium supplementation.
For sure.
We need to go beyond simply meeting a recommended daily amount
Right.
and really delve deeper into the specific actions of different magnesium forms.
It's getting complex.
This is
It's
fascinating.
just a tip of the iceberg.
There's a whole world of magnesium waiting to be explored.
A whole world.
But maybe it's time to take a little breather.
Yeah, let's let all this information sink in.
Even deep-sea divers need to come up for air every now and then.
I agree. We'll dive back in soon. Taking a breather is a good idea.
Definitely, this magnesium deep dive has given us a lot to think about.
It really has.
I mean, it's incredible how something as simple as magnesium can play such a big role in our health.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just don't realize how important it is.
I agree. It's like we've been underestimating it all this time.
Absolutely. And that's one of Dr. Jaramillo's main points in the video.
Oh, really?
He really wants us to rethink how we view magnesium deficiency.
How do you mean?
Well, traditionally, we tend to just focus on individual symptoms.
Like muscle cramps or fatigue.
Exactly. And then we look for a quick fix.
Right, a pill or something.
But Dr. Jaramillo is advocating for a much bigger picture approach.
Interesting.
He sees magnesium as like this foundational element, a key pillar that supports our overall health.
So it's not just about addressing those isolated symptoms.
Right. It's about recognizing that this widespread magnesium deficiency might be contributing to a much broader range of health challenges.
This is making me think back to what he said about magnesium and chronic stress.
The double whammy.
Yeah, stress depletes your magnesium, and low magnesium makes you more susceptible to stress.
Exactly. It's this vicious cycle that can be really hard to break.
No wonder so many people feel drained and on edge all the time.
Seriously. So it sounds like it's not enough to just replenish our magnesium levels.
We need to tackle those lifestyle factors too.
Absolutely. It's about creating a sustainable environment for our bodies to thrive in.
So boost our magnesium and minimize those magnesium thieves.
You got
Finding that balance.
Exactly.
You know, this deep dive has really gotten me thinking about my own magnesium intake
Yeah, me too.
and how I manage stress. I definitely have some room for improvement.
Well, that's the great thing about these deep dives. They're not just about passively absorbing information.
Right, it's about using that knowledge to spark reflection and make positive changes in our own lives.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves to make informed choices.
Absolutely. Choices that support our well-being.
And for me, that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding.
I agree.
It's not just intellectual stimulation, it's potentially life-changing.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something Dr. Jaramillo mentioned earlier.
Okay, what's that?
He talked about how he's no longer supplementing daily with magnesium.
Oh, right. He focuses on getting it from his diet and supplements a couple of times a week for maintenance.
Exactly, and it brings up this idea of bio-individuality again.
Oh, yeah, bio-individuality.
Do you remember what that means?
Remind me.
It just means that we're all unique. And what works for one person might not be the best approach for another.
Because we all have different needs and respond differently to things like diet and lifestyle.
Exactly. So
No.
just because Dr. Jaramillo found that maintaining his magnesium levels through diet and occasional supplementation worked for him.
Doesn't mean it's the optimal strategy for everyone.
Right. It really highlights the importance of listening to your own body.
And paying attention to how you feel.
Exactly.
You might need to experiment a bit and adjust your magnesium intake based on your individual needs and responses.
And this is where working with a knowledgeable healthcare professional could be really helpful.
Oh, definitely.
They can help you figure out your specific needs and monitor your progress.
And fine-tune your magnesium strategy.
Like having a personalized roadmap for your magnesium journey.
I love that, a personalized magnesium roadmap.
Now that brings me to something else we touched on earlier.
Oh, what did we miss?
Remember all those different types of magnesium?
Oh, yeah, and how each one has its own special benefits.
Exactly. Magnesium malate for hydration.
Treonate for the nervous system.
Glycinate for overall benefits and neuronal support.
And citrate for digestion.
And he specifically cautioned against those combination supplements.
Because they could interfere with the effectiveness of each individual type.
Right. He's all about choosing the right type for your needs and letting each form work its magic.
Without interference.
This is where my brain starts to spin a little.
What do you mean?
If we're trying to optimize our magnesium intake, shouldn't we be thinking about how our bodies actually use it?
You're making me think.
What I mean is, if different types of magnesium have different affinities for certain tissues or processes in the body,
Okay, yeah.
wouldn't it make sense to tailor our supplementation accordingly?
That's a good point.
So, for example, if someone is dealing with muscle cramps, maybe they should focus on the types of magnesium that are easily absorbed by muscle tissue.
Instead of just taking any old magnesium supplement.
Right.
That's a really insightful observation.
It emphasizes the need for a more nuanced understanding of magnesium supplementation.
I agree. We need to go beyond just meeting that daily recommended amount.
And delve deeper into the specific actions of different magnesium forms.
This is getting complex.
It is, but it's also super fascinating.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to learn about magnesium.
A whole world of magnesium.
Oh, exactly.
Well, this deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
For me too.
Magnesium is way more complex than I initially realized.
It's not just a simple mineral.
It plays such a vital role in our physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
And that brings us to Dr. Jaramillo's final point.
Oh, right. He really emphasized how crucial magnesium is for our overall health.
He's passionate about getting that message out there.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of magnesium, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to ponder?
If I had to boil it down to one essential point, it would be this: don't underestimate the power of magnesium.
I like that.
It's not just a humble mineral, it's a vital force that supports our entire well-being.
Beautifully put. I think that's a perfect note to end on. That's a great point to end on. Don't underestimate magnesium.
Right, it's so easy to overlook, but it's crucial.
He really makes you realize that it's not just for muscle cramps.
It's like this underlying foundation for so much of our health.
It's like he's saying, hey, if you're feeling off, check your magnesium.
Exactly. It could be the missing piece for a lot of people.
You know, what really stood out to me was how he emphasized that everything's connected.
Oh, yeah.
Our diet stress toxins gut health, it all impacts our magnesium levels.
That's so true. It really highlights the importance of a holistic approach.
Right. You can't just focus on one thing in isolation.
It's like our bodies are these intricate ecosystems.
And magnesium is a key element that keeps everything in balance.
I love that analogy. When magnesium is optimal, everything works better.
We have more energy, better sleep, we handle stress better.
Our bodies are more resilient,
It's like magnesium is the conductor of an orchestra.
keeping all the instruments in harmony.
Okay, I love that image. But seriously, this deep dive has been a wake-up call for me.
Me too.
I'm definitely going to be way more mindful of my magnesium intake.
I hope our listeners are feeling inspired too.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about.
And hopefully spark some curiosity about magnesium.
I bet we'll see a lot more people adding magnesium-rich foods to their shopping lists.
And maybe trying out different magnesium supplements.
This is just the beginning of the magnesium journey.
There's a whole world of magnesium knowledge out there to explore.
So keep diving deep, keep learning, and uncover those hidden gems that can help you live a healthier, more vibrant life.
And until next time, stay curious.